Okay, verse 17 of Lagyu, Vakya, Vritti. This is the second last verse. It's very important verse, this. Meditating on that, talking about that, teaching each other about that, being focused on that. The wise ones call this contemplation on Brahman. That verse is so perfect. This verse is mostly, or most of this is a verse, blah, blah, blah. Verse 17 and 18 are about contemplation, which is nididhyasana. But this verse, this class will be still a lot about Shravanam, even though the subject matter is about contemplation. But what is meant by contemplation on Brahman? What does Adi Shankaracharya mean about this? And it is thinking about Brahman, talking about Brahman, teaching others about Brahman. Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. And most important, to have one thing primary in your life, to have one ultimate goal in your life. Of course, everybody has many different goals in their life, but this is about priorities. And we saw that Adi Shankaracharya had this similar teaching in Vajragovindam. It's not about walking away from goals or priorities, or goals in life. It's about prioritizing what you want. If you remember in Vajragovindam, it speaks about your last breath, which is what is most important to you in your last breath. And Vedanta would say whether or not you have Brahmanyanam, whether or not you have attained moksha, because in your last breath, there will either be reincarnation into samsara suffering or not. If there's not going to be reincarnation into suffering in your last breath, it means that moksha has been attained. So there has been freedom from suffering for a certain portion of life and freedom from the endless cycle of rebirth. Okay. So it's about prioritizing for you, prioritizing for you. So what is the number one priority that you have? What is most important to you? What's the top thing on the list for your entire life? Not for a portion of your life, but for your entire life. What's your lifetime goal? Is it to have as your top priorities things that are within samsara, with, of course, the suffering that samsara is? Or is it to still retain the important things in your life within Jagat, within the world, but prioritize freedom from suffering, freedom from samsara while in samsara? If the most important thing in your life is enlightenment, gaining liberation through Vedanta, then your priority is wanting to discover Brahman. That's your main goal. If your priority was wanting to discover, your main priority, your top priority is wanting to discover Brahman, if that is the main goal, then you will be there's three kinds of adhikari: qualified person, and you will be the top qualified person. Because if freedom from suffering and liberation, enlightenment is your main priority in life, then nothing else will get in the way, or you will make everything else fit around it. That would be a better way. Okay, you make everything else fit around it as best as possible. As long as it's your top priority in life, you will attain it in this life. This is what Vedanta teaches. Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is explained as being engaged in the teachings even after you have the knowledge. That sounds a bit weird, maybe. Even after you gain the knowledge, Atma-vidya, you gain knowledge of yourself, knowledge of what you are. Nididhyasana, there's another step after that. It's like Swami Tilapananda has this metaphor. It's like you've got your master's degree and you still go on studying in the master's program afterwards. It sounds nonsensical, doesn't it? You know, why would you do that? Why would you, once you attain your master's degree, why go take it again? No? But that's what Vedanta is suggesting, teaching us to do. And we're going now to go into the reason for this. Once you discover your nature as Brahman, you're being taught to carry on thinking about it, to carry on talking about it, carry on teaching others about it. But why? Why is Adi Shankaracharya teaching us this? And the answer is to keep the person, to keep you engaged in Vedanta for a period of time. Puja Swamiji, when he was alive, he would encourage all his students, all the students that took the 3-year course, usually after the 3-year course, to go out and teach. Even if they didn't want to teach, to go out and teach. Every one of them. The Puja Swamiji was not interested in converting people around the world. Vedanta doesn't do that. There's no need. So it wasn't about the other people, the others that would be listening to Vedanta. It was about the person that would be teaching Vedanta. Even if the person wasn't knowledgeable in Sanskrit and scripture, he would still ask them to go out and teach. So not just the best students, but the not so best students as well. And the reason for that is that even after a 3-year course with Swami Dayananda himself, one of the most exceptional teachers in centuries, even after learning under him, he knew that wasn't even enough. Even after 3 years of uninterrupted study in an ashram under him, it still wasn't enough. Yeah. And that's really, really sobering for us, for you and for I. You know, we think we get it. No, we don't. No, we don't. Unless Swami Dayananda's wrong. We don't get it at all. Our ego thinks that we think we know. We don't know. And this brings a humbling attitude that we're all students with very, very much to learn. Puja Swamiji knows, speaking present tense a lot with him, Puja Swamiji knows that even after years of intense ashram teaching, you need to keep engaged with the teachings as much as possible. So you teach, because if you're teaching, you're not getting away from the teachings at all. They're on your mind constantly. It's constant manana, constant shravanam, constant manana for the person who's teaching, for the student who's teaching. Even though you already understand the teachings, this verse is telling you to keep yourself immersed in the teachings. And I know myself in the short time that I've been teaching that I've uncovered credible depths. I've made credible discoveries with these texts just because I've been teaching. And it's only in a short time, and it's never going to be finished. The journey is never going to be finished. And that's humbling for me. That I'm a student always, first and foremost, sharing. And it's Swami Turiya, and I would speak about this, that teaching is the best manana for teachers. If you share stuff, it's the best thing for you. I'm not sure if it's still on the banner we have on the group. Let me check. I have a direct quote from Puja Swamiji. Let me see. Yeah, it is. I'll say this quote from the group. This is from, it's on the banner of our group of the lounge. It's taken from a book by a book wrote about Puja Swamiji, which is day by day after day or day by day with Puja Swamiji. It's one quote of his for every day of the year. And this one is, only when you discuss what you think you know, you discover what you do not know, or you discover what you do know, sorry. Clarity takes place only when you begin to part with the knowledge you have, sharing it with another person. There is no other sadhana. Therefore, listen and reflect on what you've understood by sharing it with others and in discussion among seekers. This totally blows us out of the water, this idea that we're fully cooked. We think we have Brahmanyanam. Just because a person is enlightened doesn't mean they know everything. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's a problem as well, or can be a problem. There's always things to learn, and that keeps you grounded, keeps you humble. And it makes it, just because a person attains enlightenment, it means that for the rest of their life, they're in a really exciting adventure, always uncovering things with Yana, always uncovering things. So we get to the point, there's suffering and samsara. We get to the point where we're free from suffering, and everything's a bloody blast after it. The urgency is gone. It's just so relaxed. It's just a sheer bloody joy. That's what it is. It's fantastic. So we have to ask the question, why do we have to keep ourselves immersed? When you gain self-knowledge and you really get that you are the consciousness behind the thoughts, behind the experiences, you do really get it. Yeah. The problem is that the next time you deal with someone who's acting like an idiot, all the knowledge seems to vanish. And this is because nididhyasana is to close the gap. This is what's needed. Nididhyasana is the bridge between knowledge and experience. Okay. You can see now from the last, from verses, certainly 14, 15, 16 on Nirvikalpa Samadhi, how that non-experience of that experience in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is important. How it experientially validates what we've been learning. Nididhyasana works in the exact same way. Experientially validates. If we don't experientially validate what we're doing, we're going to have so many doubts, and it's just going to be, it's harder to, if we're not experientially validating, let me put it like this, if we're not experientially validating the Anam, then we're not applying it to our lives. Even meditation, even this meditation, this finding the gap, is applying it to our lives. In that moment, Nididhyasana is the same, applying it to our lives. So Swami Tadapananda recounts one of his favorite stories. He first came across this through Swami Vivekananda, I think, the Ramakrishna mission. I think Swamiji was in the Ramakrishna mission for some time. So there is a lioness and her cub, and they're going through the jungle. Of course, the cub stays close to the mum, but somehow, at some point in the jungle, they get separated. The cub's small, he's small, he becomes afraid. He sees a flock of sheep in the clearing. He joins the flock of sheep for company. Little cute lion cub. So as the story carries on, the lioness doesn't return, and the abandoned cub lives with the flock of sheep. So when the cub first joins, it's cute and small, but after a few years, it becomes quite large. So we can imagine a flock of sheep with a big giant lion in the middle of them, like it's a real funny sight. But the sheep know the lion, so they're not afraid of it. One day, another I should have started this with once upon a time, shouldn't I? One day, another lamb comes by the flock of sheep, and the new lamb comes upon the flock of sheep and sees another lamb standing among the sheep. And the new lamb thinks, what the heck's going on here? That doesn't look right. Really confused, and decides to investigate. As the new lamb gets close, some sheep begin sounding the alarm. And the lamb that grew up with the sheep, it also starts running. He starts running. He thinks he's a sheep. So the new lamb is even more confused and chases after the sheep. Well, I'll call him now the sheep lamb, okay? The new lamb finally corners the sheep lamb at the pond, at the end of a pond, and the sheep lamb is really afraid, but they begin to talk. Let's just say that they can talk for the benefit of this story, this metaphor. The sheep is begging not to be eaten. And the new lamb says, why would I eat you? And the sheep lamb says that lambs eat sheep. Of course, the new lamb replies, what are you talking about? You're not a bloody sheep. You're a lamb. Like me. The sheep lamb is suffering from ignorance of its true nature. Even though the new lamb has told the sheep lamb that he is like him, the sheep lamb doesn't believe it. The sheep lamb still believes it's a vulnerable sheep. The new lamb has told the sheep lamb the truth, a Vakya, such as we're looking at now. Tatwamasi, you are a lamb. But does that work? No. And this is due to several things. If I say to you, Aham Brahmasmi, are you enlightened? No, it doesn't work like that. But why would it not work like that? And there are several factors. One of them would be a lack of adhikaratvam, a lack of qualifications, which is okay and normal. Another might be a lack of shraddha, faith or confidence or belief in the teachings. Okay, that's understandable as well. But the other factor, and this is the main factor, this is the main point of this story, is that the other factor is that pramana implies a methodology. Bear in mind, what we are doing here now is operating the Vedanta pramana, the means, the methodology of Vedanta. It's not just words. We're not just using words in Vedanta. That's not correct. Not just words. Vedanta isn't just information. Vedanta is methodology, information used in a certain way all the time. The teachings use it in a certain way all the time, and the teacher, when they're talking to the student in the student capacity, will interact with the student in a certain way. Always. Things are being said always. And, oh God, I'm going to run out of time, guys. Okay. Things are being said always. So we are speaking about here prakriyas, which is the teaching application methodology. And what makes Vedanta unique is that it's a very powerful methodology, a collection of teachings. Without these prakriyas, Vedanta would be useless philosophy. So back to the lamb being told, the sheep lamb being told that it is a lamb didn't help. So if the teacher sits and tells you Tatwamasi, you're full, you're enlightened, you're a god, you're a Brahman, sure, it might make you feel good, but it's not going to work in regard to enlightenment. So it's not enough to have the words present. The prakriya, the teaching application, the methodology has to be there. And Vedanta is a pramana, a means of knowledge, which means it must be used. Telling doesn't work. So we go back to the story. Sorry, I have to talk a little bit fast now. The new lamb can't tell the sheep lamb. The sheep lamb needs a methodology. So the new lamb says to the sheep lamb, look at its own reflection in the pond. The sheep land does as asked, or the sheep land is asked, does your reflection look like the sheep or does it look like me? That worked. In an instant, the confused lamb knows by looking at its own reflection that it is a lamb. That's instant enlightenment through the methodology, okay? Not through telling, through showing, okay? Showing, okay? That's the Vakya, showing the true nature. So the pond was a medium of reflection, and Swami Tarapananda shares some beautiful words from Puja Swamiji, which is, just like the pond is a reflection, the teachings of Vedanta are a word mirror. You look into Vedanta, and through the teachings of Vedanta, you see your true nature reflected. The teacher holds the mirror for you. No teacher can make you enlightened. No teacher can. You have to look into the word mirror yourself. Okay? Do this yourself. And this is Shravana. So where is the need for Nididhyasana? Well, the confused lamb is grateful, so grateful to the new lamb. He runs out into the jungle, not afraid of anything. When night falls, he sleeps soundly in the jungle because he's not afraid of anything. Next morning, he wakens up and sees the flock of sheep in a nearby field. Without thinking, the lamb goes to join the sheep. The lamb joins him and begins grazing on grass. But it's strange, isn't it, that the lamb knows that it's a lamb, and it's still, once the ignorance is destroyed, the lamb knows it's a lamb and still comes back and grazes. So once ignorance is destroyed, does it come back? No, it doesn't. When you know that, when you learn that 2 plus 2 is 4, you understand it is 4. That destroys ignorance of that equation. So what's going on with the lamb? The lamb knows it's a lamb, but it still goes and joins the sheep and starts grazing, acting like a sheep. If you ask the lamb, he will say, I'm a lamb. So then we ask, why are you acting like a sheep? The lamb replies, am I still doing that? Okay. And this is because of habit, lifelong habit. And does lifelong habit go away overnight? Knowledge, it takes place instantly, but lifelong habits don't go away overnight. This is the difference between knowledge and experience. This is what Nididhyasana is for. To address the lifelong habits, even if you know that you're a Brahmin. It takes time, and how much time does it take? Well, just as much time as it takes. There's no rule for this. In the case of the lamb, the knowledge hasn't been assimilated. And knowledge that isn't assimilated allows habits to continue. I actually finished quicker. I can't pace myself properly. So, knowledge that is not assimilated allows habits to continue. So, what should be done for the sake of assimilation? For the lamb. The lamb should look at the reflection every day in the pond. It'll see only a lamb and not something else. And what the lamb is doing is being engaged in a process of reinforcement, a process of assimilation that will root out the old habits of thinking. This is Nididhyasana. So when you gain Brahman Jnanam, when you gain knowledge, or Atma Vidya, when you gain knowledge of what you are, that's not enough, because your life will still be confusing, suffering, judgments, all those kind of things. You have to keep reinforcing, you have to keep yourself immersed in the teachings. You have to live the teachings, you have to make the teachings your life. When we go back to the start of this, we have to think about Brahman, talk about Brahman, teach or share others about Brahman. Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. So that's that. Any questions? Yeah, Vicky, or I mean Judy, go ahead.
But so on that, what if we don't have people around us that we can talk to about Brahman? Like, it's my understanding that
Sure. Sure.
that we don't talk about Vedanta to those who
Yeah,
aren't
yeah, sure.
ready for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have each
Yeah.
other, which is
Yeah.
wonderful, and I feel very blessed that I know you guys. But no one else in my life
Well,
is interested in anything like this that I'm aware of. So
yeah.
I feel really,
Yeah. So find a Facebook group, network with people on Facebook. If there's nobody in your locality, if there's nobody in your locality,
start a Chaz here, like, or somewhere.
if there's nobody in your locality that is
Yeah.
interested in Vedanta, then just use online. Talk to people online.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like,
Just,
well, what we have already, you like where we've met, even like that even is sufficient.
yes.
Then I suppose.
But if, and this is the thing that man enough for me in the previous Vedanta group and now this Vedanta group, one of the most important things for my sadhana was posting things, asking questions, was interacting in the group. It was one of the major things that helped me reason things out, because Swami Turiya said to me that when I asked permission for Swami Turiya, when I was talking, I asked permission to teach, and then he asked me at the same time to teach Director Vakya. But he said to me that I'm already a good teacher, although I wasn't teaching, didn't view myself as teaching. I was just sharing information on the group. So even sharing information is just sharing information. So make posts or talk to people in videos or private message people or whatever, or just get involved in it. What we're doing is we're sharing information. You know, Puja Swamiji's quote in the group is specifically in the group for a reason on the banner. It's about sharing what we think we know with others. Who are we going to share it with? We're going to share it with our Sangha, our spiritual community. What spiritual community? Probably better to share it with Arsha spiritual community. So Arsha, this group or any other Arsha groups or whatever, you know. So okay, we're not living in an ashram, so but we have the luxury of and the internet, yeah. Yeah. So sharing information is sharing information. We don't have to do it in person, so we don't. No. You know.
We got only a minute more, but I want
Yes.
to ask, what about engaging in the debates? For instance, exposing other schools of thought to their logical inconsistencies, etc.
Yeah. That's right down your street in the morning. But that's good because Guadapara does that in the Mandukya character as well. You know, a person you can do it either two ways. You can just not worry about it and leave it to themselves. But what Vedanta does, Adi Shankaracharya became very famous because he done exactly that. He challenged schools of thoughts. Yeah, that's what Adi Shankaracharya done. And he it's in Bhajagovindam now. What was the he challenged what did he do? What do you call this guy? Can't remember. He spoke about some text, and the author of the text actually commended him. As another Vedantic author, commended him on what he was the sort of critique he was making of the text. So yeah, we're able to do that, of course.